Star Trek Enterprise got really good in its final 2 seasons, especially in Season 4, where the show really came into its own. Mind you, I've rewatched the show several times now, and I think Seasons 1 and 2 hold up very well. They're actually so much better than I remembered them being when they first aired. Of course, that's probably something to do with the fact that modern Star Trek is just so bad now that even the weaker seasons of older Trek shows seem good by comparison. Anyway, Enterprise was cancelled after its 3rd season, but brought back for Season 4 just to sweeten syndication deals for the show. The 4th season's budget may have been cut, but the writers finally embraced the show's prequel setting with some wonderful stories that established the early origins of important Trek lore. Now, the announcement that the show was cancelled officially came during the filming of Season 4, and a hastily prepared finale was devised, the infamous These Are the Voyages. I've already discussed that episode before, no need to go over it again, but that dreadful final episode was a sour note to end what had been a great season. Now, there were plans for Season 5, including the return of Alice Krige. She was going to play a human scientist who would become the Borg Queen, so that was like an origin of the Borg story. There was plans to show an early version of Stratos, the Cloud City from the original series episode The Cloudminders. They were also going to start exploring the beginnings of the Romulan War, and the character of Shran, played by Jeffrey Combs, was going to join the regular cast. And there would be several more episodes based in the Mirror Universe as well. But there had been long-term plans for the show also, including for a 7th season episode. So if the 7th season had happened, Manny Coto had a plan to reveal the identity of Future Guy from the Temporal Cold War. So they were going to wrap up the Temporal Cold War, and the character's identity was going to be revealed in an absolutely insane crossover with not just the original series, but also Deep Space Nine. Yes, a time travel episode in which Archer's crew would travel forward into the future to visit Space Station K7 at the same time that Kirk's crew and Sisko's crew were there, tying the episode into the 1996 30th anniversary episode, Trials and Tribulations, which of course was a tie-in to The Trouble with Tribbles. This article is from ScreenRant.com. Star Trek fans were denied the most epic original series, DS9 and Enterprise crossover ever. At Trek Talks 5, which raised over $86,000 to benefit the Hollywood Food Coalition, Star Trek Enterprise producers and writers Brannon Braga, Andre Bormanis, Judith and Garfield Reeves-Stevens, Michael Sussman and Phyllis Strong joined a panel moderated by Diana King. Garfield Reeves-Stevens revealed his and Judith's pitch for Season 7 that would have crossed Enterprise over with Star Trek the original series and Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Garfield Reeves-Stevens: "We had a story we never pitched, but we thought of, and now we see it's quite a common thing. Several people have mentioned it online, but we thought for Season 7 an ideal episode would be to have one last battle of the Temporal Cold War, and it involves the Enterprise crew going back to the K7 space station while Kirk's crew is there and Sisko's crew is there. So the 3 series would be overlapping together at once. That would have been epic. It also would likely have been an expensive CGI fest for sure." It says Judith and Garfield Reeves-Stevens' audacious pitch would have sent Captain Jonathan Archer and the NX-01's crew 100 years into the future. At the same time, Captain Sisko's DS9 personnel time-travelled from the 24th century, this time to stop a plot that ties into the Star Trek Enterprise Temporal Cold War. Star Trek Enterprise executive producer Brannon Braga said that the Temporal Cold War was definitely something that Enterprise showrunner Manny Coto and I had talked about continuing and picking it up again in Season 5. The complex Temporal Cold War was dropped before Enterprise revealed the identity of Future Guy, who Braga indicated would have been Jonathan Archer himself. Well, there were a lot of fan theories at the time about the identity of Future Guy, and they would have to come up with a very elaborate explanation as to why a future version of Jonathan Archer had been doing what Future Guy had been doing in those first 2 seasons of the show when the temporal Cold War was happening. Specifically, why he would have been working with the Suliban in the past. But anyway, that would have been neither here nor there. As for this crossover, it would have been incredible. Yeah, it would have been pretty incredible. Definitely a ratings grabber, for sure. This would have been a major event in the franchise that would have enticed original series and DS9 fans to check it out. Archer and his crew running around K7 covertly, while Sisko's crew were doing the same thing, maybe even occasionally bumping into each other. And I wonder if they would have brought back any of the DS9 cast to reprise their roles. They admittedly, of course, would have been, 10 or 12 years older at that point. But yeah, it sounds like this episode would have had all the ingredients for a kind of a wacky comedic episode, to be honest. I think they also would have contrived some means of having Kirk and Sisko and Archer on screen at the same time, in a similar fashion to how Sisko met Kirk at the end of Trials and Tribulations. Perhaps we could also have seen the return of the temporal investigations guys who appeared in that episode as well. Maybe they could be investigating why this particular moment aboard K7 appeared to be some kind of important temporal convergence point in the space-time continuum. I don't know. Either way, it would have been an ambitious episode. Not exactly sure how it would have been pulled off, but when you think about it, doing an episode like this actually would have made a lot of sense, and it would have been a clever move from a production point of view, because they had already built the sets for the USS Defiant from the original series for the Mirror Universe episodes in Season 4. So they would have had those standing sets, just fold and hold. So they could reuse those sets as Kirk's Enterprise for this crossover, because obviously the USS Defiant and Kirk's Enterprise were both Constitution-class starships, so they both look the same inside. So that could have saved them some money. Oh, it's such a shame. It's such a shame the show was cancelled in Season 4 when it had finally started to take off and really become the kind of show it should have been from the beginning. I think in Season 5 and beyond, Enterprise would have finally achieved its potential. And it's just such a shame we didn't get episodes like this, because the show was really becoming very, very ambitious indeed. I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Computing Forever. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.